Welcome, friends, to the third episode of Bevs with Ben. Today we have the most special guest, Neeko2lo, down here.
Hello, guys. What up?
Welcome in, Neeko.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. It was a little bit weird setting up our schedule again, because, you know, 3 different time zones as pretty much what's normally going to happen forever. But
Yeah,
we figured it out, and thank you for making time for us to chat about Diablo and other things, potentially. TM.
Other things. Yep.
Who knows? We'll see at the end of the episode. If you would like to, oh, what were you gonna say, Ben? Good.
I was gonna say, see where the journey takes us. Eh?
Yeah, we'll just ride the wave. Neeko, if you'd like to introduce yourself, just in like gaming culture, you don't have to like start from like the inception of time.
I complain a lot about video games, mostly MMOs. That's basically the gist. I would love to not complain. Okay, it's not like I have a passion about complaining, but it's more like I have to. I can't help it. Okay, that's basically how it is. Yep. Hello, guys. What up?
Word. And where can people find you, Neeko?
Everywhere Neeko2lo. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, not on TikTok. I'm not that much of a zoomer. But basically those 3 mostly, yep.
Nice.
Same. I'm too boom.
Too boomer?
Yeah.
Bro, I've got TikTok. This is my confession for the stream. I've got like 5 or 6 kind of shorts on there. Like 6 followers. Bro, I am winning.
Nice.
At
Popping
TikTok.
off,
Yeah.
dude. This guy's
absolutely
getting nuts over here.
Oof.
I mean,
Going
to be
crazy.
fair, it's probably not even it's probably a smart move. But yeah, I've never gotten around to do it.
It is.
It's hard to time it.
Yeah, but
it's time to do it all.
It's so good to get engagement on there, but then yeah, like if you saw the TikToks for like Lost Ark, there's like 6 likes per Lost Ark TikTok, so
yeah,
that kind of shows you how people feel about games.
It's probably the wrong audience.
Mm-hmm.
You need to play Fortnite or Minecraft or something.
Valorant
probably, or that.
Huge,
Yep.
Yeah.
Any young audience is probably better.
Yep. Wait, is my mic still being bad? Is it still in it?
I think as long as you don't turn around too much, it's fine.
I'm just gonna do 360s in my chair. You guys can figure it out. Anyways, yesterday we had the dev update with Riker, which was awesome, and we're kind of gonna break down a little bit of what that was, and also talk about some patch info. It seems like Neeko and I have switched positions on Diablo. Neeko going from wanting to put Diablo 4 in a headlock, and then me now wanting to put Diablo 4 in a headlock. But we'll start with you, Neeko. How are you feeling about the patch notes and everything?
So, I mean, I refunded it after the beta. I refunded Diablo 4 because I was like, there's so many very obvious problems that I have had with the game that I feel like, especially if a company that big is making it, it shouldn't even, like there's so many people working on it. It's so obvious, some of these, right? So, after reading the patch notes, though, I got definitely reassured because they had a lot of the pain points that I had immediately taken down, like the move and interact button, for example, or the widescreen thing that I made a video about as well, with the ultra wide teleporting stuff. Also got fixed, although they didn't put that in the patch notes for some reason. Same with Rise's video about animation canceling, attack speed stuff, also got fixed. And all of those 3, I think, require a little bit more effort than just, you know, putting a number from 1 to 2 or from 2 to 1 or whatever, right? So that's when I was like, I mean, maybe they will actually fix a lot of these things. And I was like, well, let's see what happens now, basically, you know.
Ben, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I like them. I like the changes. It showed initiative on their end to actually listen to the feedback and adapt, and then actually make some changes. Yeah, they tweaked the characters a bit. One thing that I really liked, one thing that my biggest gripe was the backtracking. So the fact that they have like addressed that
Mhm.
and changed the dungeon layouts, so there's less backtracking because it's really annoying, especially when I was on sorry, like Necromancer, no mobility.
Right.
So if you're on a high mobility class and you can like jump or teleport or something like that, then that felt great. Like you can speed it up. But when you're a necromancer and you're just like running along, like that was a bit nasty.
Got the
Bit nasty. So
longest trek.
I think the yeah, I think the changes were nice. Yeah, they tweaked some of the classes as well. So hopefully they can buff like barbarian and druid a little bit and make it feel a bit nicer at the start.
I think
Yeah.
they'll both be fun. I mean, level 20 is not that much gameplay, right? Like the distance from level 1 to 20 compared to the distance from level like 80 to 90 is going to be like you're going to play like 3 or 4 times as much from 80 to 90 than you would from 1 to 20, right? So it kind of feels like they're I I was upset because I wanted more information, not just like, hey, we fixed a bunch of legendaries. Like, tell me what legendaries you fixed because there's some broken stuff here that needs help. You know what I mean? Was my opinion on it. And so I was kind of frustrated. Also, I was saying they hadn't announced anything. So what do these patch notes even mean? Because we don't get to play it. You know what I mean? And then they announced we get to play it. Now I'm like, okay, well, my video is just me being an asshole.
Oh man, but the server slam announcement, like
Yeah.
I did feel like there was like a big gap, right, between like the beta and then launch. It just felt like, they had all this hype and then like, like making YouTube videos or going on live on Twitch and going on to like Diablo 4 and looking at like builds and all that kind of stuff that you could do. Like on the build up to beta and obviously through beta, that stuff you get loads of views and attention to things like that. And then it very quickly died off. And I was like, man, they've just lost like all the hype. Then they've done this a bit. They've drawn some people back a bit. But it's still I still feel like they need to, I don't know, maybe just before launch. It's obviously it's gonna like, pick up, but I don't know. I feel like this is brought back a little bit. Like we're doing podcasts about it, talking about it, which is quite nice.
Mhm.
But yeah, I feel like I don't know. It's hard to say, but I don't know. But with when it comes to launch, I think it will pick back up. I think it will pick back up for sure.
I mean, I think I was expecting something, some like stress test weekend because they could just weave it in randomly. Even they could have even done it closer even to release. I feel like a week later, to just keep the momentum going, like you said. But to go back on Montague's point here, the thing that I was mostly worried about when it comes to Barbarian and Druid early game, right? But which is obviously not gonna be forever, right? Once you get your aspects and everything, it's gonna scale. But I feel like the biggest problem I had there was a lot of the boss fights felt like they were not designed with those classes in mind at all. It's like, oh yeah, we have this one playtester over here. He plays Sork, and the bosses were fine, you know.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of what I thought. That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
So that being addressed was good. Yep, that was also good.
I agree. Playing like Rogue in comparison to playing like anything else so far that I have played felt like there was a little Blizzard favoritism towards Rogue this time around, as opposed to like normally their favoritism is towards mages in general, like any mage or any sorceress or any whatever. Like if you have a staff or a wand, you're getting buffed constantly. So the fact that like a melee had some love, and then they talk about it also in the patch notes that they're like saying, hey, these other melees aren't just getting thrown to the wayside, I think was a good thing. What's your opinion so far on the classes in general? I don't know how many classes you played. Did you go through all five? Neeko?
I played. Well, I played Barb the most by far. I
That's
played
surprising.
yeah. In the beginning I hated it, but then when I figured out some early game Thorn setups, which I will be using if for speed running, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's actually really strong. And it was. I actually think weirdly enough that Barb might be one of the fastest classes now for leveling
Mm.
with the nerfs to Sork. Um, and then, yeah, I played a little bit of Sork. I played a good amount of Druid as well. But a good amount meaning I got to level 20 and I quit. But the Druid was I didn't try Rogue because I feel like I don't know why, but I'm usually not a Rogue player, which is weird because in Lost Ark I'm a Blade. But
Mm-hmm.
usually I'm not really into the stealthy like a million button setups.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer like something I don't know how to say it, like a bruiser-ish,
Yeah.
bruiser I like. So that's what I was trying out mostly. I didn't try Necro either, although I wanted to initially, but then I saw people have that like aspect with corpse explosion and blood mist or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
that looked so stupid to me. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm playing that.
Oh, bro, I'm
So
glad you don't like it. Yeah,
that was
it
so that's looked so broken to me. I felt like that's cheating, so
Could
I didn't even want to
yeah.
touch
could you
it.
imagine how boring it would be to play that? Like if it was really a build? Like I'm
I
hitting
mean,
this
you're
one button.
immune too, right?
Yeah, you're immune to all damage, and you're just like a floating ball of mist, and just like the popcorn build, as they were
Yeah.
calling it. It sounds terrible.
Yeah, I mean, like when that first got discovered, the first day of the beta, and then there was like 5-6 videos that got slammed up on
Yep.
YouTube, just being like, "This is so broken." And when I saw it, because I did something different. I did something with Blood Surge, and I put like a Necro build up, which was all to do with like AOE and like healing yourself and like stuff. And it actually worked really quite well, but it wasn't as OP or as broken as like the corpse explosion build. When I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god, this looks amazing" at first, and then I very quickly turned around and went, "Bro, actually no, this looks boring as fuck. It just looks like you're cheating." I was like, "Nah, I can't do this. This can't be a thing. Surely they're gonna take this out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?" Oh,
I mean, still in the game, they just nerfed the damage, right?
See, that's what
yeah.
I'm worried about. They said that they've changed some legendaries around, and Ben and I were talking the other night, off stream, and my opinion so far was that you cannot have not like seen that coming, right? Because the legendary just says broken, right? It's like you reduce the cooldown of blood mist on the legendary, like, and auto explode corpses. You
It's
can't
like
have
it's only
both of
one
those,
as
right?
well, right? It's
Right.
not even an interaction.
Right. It's not like
one.
you get two legendaries and these two do this thing together. It's the one legendary does all that you need in one button, right? And it's crazy to me. Like you can't have just not seen that, right, Blizzard? Like it had to be. I think it was a plan, personally. Like they wanted people to talk about how broken and how ridiculous Diablo could potentially be and then nerf it later on. So I'm wondering, like, they haven't talked about it being nerfed yet, but it can't not be nerfed, right?
They have to nerf it. It'll change it. I mean, they nerfed the damage to corpse explosion. My thoughts with it though is that at endgame, I was like, maybe at endgame it's just going to be trash. Maybe even without the corpse explosion damage. Maybe when you start doing nightmare dungeon or whatever, it's just going to be crap. It's just not going to be enough damage,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to be there like in a floating ball, and things like are just going to be doing like this.
Yeah.
And the scaling like won't be there, and then you'll be like, "Oh, this is trash. I'm not actually going to play this." So maybe it was that. Maybe that's the what they were kind of intending in beta. Fine, mob level 25, whatever.
Yeah.
Things like dying at end game, it's trash. You got to go into something else. But so that's maybe why they put it in. But yeah, you're right. Like they can't have put that in the game and then been like, "Oh, we overlooked that."
Yeah.
There's no way. No way.
It just seems so strange. The other thing that I had an issue with when I saw those notes was that the fact that they did nerf corpse explosion damage, because it doesn't fix the issue. Like, you're still immune and doing damage. You could literally do 1 damage forever. Someone will still play that build because they're immune to damage forever, right? So it's this weird situation where why would you nerf everything for every other build that will run like a shadow damage build that runs corpse explosion? Because you could put the AoE on the ground with corpse explosion, or like a blood blast other build that will still run corpse explosion, because you could run the like the piece that makes corpse explosion use more corpses around it. Like you're nerfing the like solution, right, to the problem. And I was just like, what? Go ahead, Neeko. Sorry.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I had the feeling they wanted to like pigeonhole you into certain play styles in a way, and I think you saw that for Barbarian too, which is the only class that I had that much thought put into it, at least. It felt like there was in each little like partition of the tree there was very obvious choices, especially if you had like a specific aspect for it, and they didn't really I don't know, I feel like they wanted you to experience that kind of, oh, I got this legendary, now I'm strong, like now this is what you have to do, and that's it. They didn't want to, I feel like they don't want you to think too much about it until you're in endgame, you know what I mean?
Right. I agree with that. It still feels weird to me. It still feels like it's like an industry plant, like they did it on purpose, But anyway, let's continue on. Let's talk about a little more of some of the other changes they made during this patch. We talked about map changes a little bit. Have you guys listened to them talk about nightmare sigils and glyphs and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the nightmare sigils, so that you can like upgrade them at the end of a nightmare dungeon, things like that. Is that no?
The glyphs are the ones you upgrade.
Paragon glyphs. Sorry, that's the Paragon glyphs. So the nightmare sigils is what you use to open a nightmare dungeon.
Yes.
Yeah. So they got the affixes and stuff on them that change them.
Neeko, coming from a Lost Ark gamer, how are you feeling about the whole sigil thing?
Well, I'm happy that they addressed some of the dungeons already, as Ben said earlier already, because that will definitely translate into the end game, right?
Yeah.
Like if those dungeons are terrible and you want to run them over and over, those will be terrible every single time.
Yeah.
So like it's good that they fix some of those things already. I think overall though, I also played a decent amount of WoW in my day. Well, it's been a while, but last time I played in Shadowlands, and there's like a lot of Mythic Plus, end game that you will engage with eventually, and I always felt like those are incredibly repetitive, and those affixes feel like they make it worse. So it's like I hope sigils won't really feel like that, and the few affixes we've seen, I guess, weren't too bad. Like, for example, this little like blood portal that spawns, and it's like new mobs that spawn out. I think that's a cool idea that doesn't like annoy you. I think that's the big thing. I hope they don't have affixes that just straight up make dungeon runs obnoxious and annoying.
Did you see the stun?
I did not.
Oh boy.
What is the stun?
The thing that followed.
Yeah.
The little star?
There's a star that follows you, but there's also a star that appears above every player's head. And it counts down like 3 or 4 seconds, and then it stuns you. If you're not, I'm assuming if you're not in the dome that it creates. So the star that follows you around creates a dome.
Yeah, that sounds pretty annoying.
Yeah, so if you're not positioning mobs and like positioning yourself, you're just getting stunned.
I wonder if Unstoppable works.
I would assume so that if you're saving cooldowns, you don't have to really position yourself for the dome. But it did seem a little angry angry mode pissed about that. If you're trying to speed run a nightmare, you're like, I don't care about this.
I think that's the good point is the speed running, because like I've just been playing loads and loads of Path of Exile. And it feels very much like the mapping system of Path of Exile. You get a map, and then you can make it like more powerful to get like better loot and stuff from it. But it adds loads of random like affixes and stuff, like monsters are immune to this, or they do more damage there, or they have more health, blah blah blah. But it doesn't have anything that like follows you and stuns you. Like that would be so annoying. But one good thing with it is you can't exactly re-roll them. They said you can break them down.
Yes.
Can't you? To like a 1:4 ratio for like a new one or something. So that'll be a good thing, because I reckon that they'll get to a stage, or we as the community and of gamers will get to a stage at the end game where we're like, these are good affixes to run, to speed run, and these are shit ones. If you get these, you break them down, and then you run these ones, and it will just become like, these are the meta ones, these are the shit ones. And yeah, I feel like, what do you think, Neeko? Do you think that'll become quite a thing?
I wonder how like the sustain is. Like if you, I mean, you played some PoE recently, right? And in a lot of cases, the map sustain is pretty good. I think normally, usually it's pretty good. But if you want to target a specific map or a specific sigil in this case, I wonder how that would work. Like for example, you love one dungeon, Fractured Peaks, and that dungeon is super fast for you, and like that, you like that one the most. Or maybe you can even target farm some things on specific dungeons, right? Then if you get a really bad affix on it, can you afford to reroll that, or do you have to just run it anyways because it's something you need for your progression or whatever?
Yeah, like if you've only got like one of these sigils, and you're like, well, I don't want to run this because it's got the stun mechanic, but if I break it down, I can't do anything, and then I've got to go out and do other things to farm another one. I wonder how much like trading might have an effect on this, and if you can trade the sigils, because that's another huge thing in PoE, is if I like want to do a map and I don't have it, I can just go on the PoE trade and just buy like a whole bunch and then just run it as many times as I want, basically, as long as I've got the currency for it. So trading might be big for this. I'm wondering how that will go. Like, is it just going to be for gold? Are people going to trade for items, or like, I don't know if you can even trade like crafting currency, because that might be what people end up doing.
I think you can for crafting currency. I think there was a way to do it. I think you could split up like your extra stack and like throw it on the ground for your teammates. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But the one thing you guys kind of brought up that I also wanted to ask you about is like you said, target farm, which like for the nightmare sigils, I think that we've kind of touched on something important as well with being able to break them down and being able to choose. That's gonna be awesome. Being able to invite another person to do your nightmare as well, making it easier to like complete something that you might be bad at. But I definitely want to talk about target farming, and this comes up with what was it called? Hell Tides. You guys checked out Hell Tides as well during the dev update. They finally showed some stuff about it and being able to target farm gear. Like, I think personally, like that's one of the coolest aspects they've created in a Diablo so far, is being able to target farm pieces. Like, I was actually kind of shocked. Like, if you're looking for headpieces, I don't know if you saw the updated version of Shaco, Harlequin crest. Like, that piece looks insane. Like, meta for every class, insane. And so I was just like shocked by it. Well, how are you feeling about Hell Tides and target farming, Neeko?
So for the Hell Tides in general, I was a little bit worried at first, because I was considering hardcore, right? And Hell Tides is PvP area, so
Wait,
there will be a lot of people.
Are they? Wait, is Hell Tides PvP confirmed?
Yep, I think so.
I thought it was just the Fields of Hatred.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they said something about that. It might be wrong. Maybe I misunderstood. But either way, I think they talked about it during that, while they talked about the target farming stuff. But I might be wrong.
But
either way, I think target farming is nice in general. I had a lot of worries because there's not really a lot of info about endgame bosses, or even specific loot drops outside of aspects, right? Like I'm a big fan of, oh, there's a boss and this boss can drop this thing.
Mhm.
So you will chase that boss to get the thing that you want. There seemed to have not been anything regarding to that until yesterday, which is again weird because there's a lot of info hidden in tweets. I don't know why they do that like that. But yesterday they said, as one of the devs said on Twitter, that there will be a level 100 boss. So like a specific boss, like whatever, maybe it's Diablo, maybe it's Lilith, I have no idea. And then there's also like capstone bosses and stuff. I have no idea if they have like very like specific drops that you can target and you're like, oh yeah, I need to kill this boss to get this item. But in general, I think like the way they did it with the Hell Tides and with the chests, where each chest has like a different slot, is generally, I think, a good idea because some build enabling aspects or build enabling uniques that you want for your character you can't get otherwise, and you're like, oh man, I don't want to run 300 nightmare dungeons to maybe get the item.
Yeah.
So having a way to a little bit, pinpoint that a little bit is good.
Ben.
See, again, like with this, you've got the targetable loot, and also, again, what I've just kind of brought up, you've got trade. So
Mhm.
depending on what they do with trade, and if you can trade uniques, if they're not like account bound, stuff like that, that might be another way to do it. So you could, for example, not do Hell Tides and just run loads of Nightmare Dungeons if you love it. Maybe you get a couple of random uniques drop, and then you can like trade them through if you get lucky. I'm just not sure. I mean, if they make trading as accessible as like PoE, and there's like some kind of like third-party website or something like that, it's easy enough to like upload things and list things and do it. It's that. But LD saying uniques are not tradable. So
Yeah.
fair enough. If they're not tradable, then fair enough. So then that makes, in my opinion, that makes the target farming like very valuable.
Mhm.
Very valuable, because again, as Neeko just said, if you need something that's like build enabling, like it's critical for your build, you need to have this. Like then you go there to these Hell Tides and go, I need this helmet, and you just keep farming Hell Tides. Because what they said, they're open for like an hour, didn't they? When they open
Mhm.
up, you farm cinders, and then you just go and open like helmet specific chests if you need a helmet one,
Mhm.
or caches, I think maybe they called them.
Yeah.
I'm curious though how many, they didn't mention like how many of these caches are in a Hell Tide. Like if you get in there at the start of the hour and you farm like crazy and you're really effective, can you go around and open like 3 helmet ones and then that's it, you're done? Or is there like
A good question.
25 or like
Yeah.
50? I
Really
have no idea. They're probably not. Yeah, do they just keep respawning every 10 minutes or every half an hour? Like,
I think I think they're what I'm gonna like. This is obviously speculation. I have no idea. I'm assuming they're gonna be like an hour on, hour off type of deal with Hell Tides, where they'll just be randomly spawned around the map for the hour, and then you'll have the hour off where there's nothing really going on the map. But inside the Hell Tide, they said that on the map you won't see the chests. You're gonna have to search around the Hell Tide for chests you want to specifically farm near to get that reward. So I feel like there's gonna be like a random chance of like there being 3 helmet chests and like 1 boot chest or something like that, or like a belt chest somewhere around, but you're gonna have to go search around for it, search through the Hell Tide.
Because the other thing they said with it is the cinders, which is the currency you get in the Hell Tides. You can't take them with you.
Yeah, they're
You
gone.
have to spend them or you lose them.
Mhm.
And then if you die, you drop like, was it like half of them or something? What did you, Neeko, what did you think about that? About the fact that you have to spend them? Do you think that was a good move or like a bad move? Like, you can't save them up and then run round a Hell Tide and just go, oh, there's no helmet one here. I'm just gonna wait an hour and go to the next one. Do you think that was a good move? Bad move? What any thoughts?
Honestly, it's probably good. Well, the way I understand it, it's like it's a shared open world event, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's other people that will also be like, oh wait, I want that Shaco thing, I want to target farm helmets, and then you're kind of a little bit competing there. I think that's probably why I confuse it with the PvP thing, but that's a good thing that you can't just carry them over, because what would happen is then someone just farms a hell of a lot of those cinders and then goes to the next event and just instantly goes to all the good chests. And he's like, well, good luck, guys. See you in the next event.
Right.
So I think that's probably a good thing that you will lose them afterwards. Yeah.
I'm interested to see like Neeko, you're speculating that the loot or the chests or the caches are shared. So like that if you
I would guess, yeah.
if you're walking up to one, you're competing for it. Where I'm curious to see if that is the case as well, because that's another thing I was thinking about that I didn't ask that question. I wondered if they were shared or if it was like self loot, like self found. Because if it's self found,
that could be, yeah.
If it's self found, you have like you would just go in there as a 4-stack, right, and farm the same area and be like, all right, so you're getting boots, you're looking for this, whatever drops from the chest, we could trade amongst each other, right? And so it would incentivize like group like people to be there but not be farming in the same area, right? So I think it's all around, it seems like a pretty cool aspect of like an end game system for like an ARPG like this. I've never really experienced like a full target farm a system like this where you can actually like do it as an event, whereas like usually when you're target farming something, you're just doing the same dungeon over and over and over again. So I feel like this could be cool. I was gonna ask you brought up I think Ben, you brought up capstones like as a system.
Neeko.
Oh, Neeko, okay.
Yeah.
So
talking about capstones.
So capstones, if I don't know if you guys didn't know, but capstones are once you reach a certain threshold, you're able to do your capstone dungeon, which is like this special dungeon to basically raise your difficulty level to the next nightmare, and then torment being the next one. So Neeko, how are you feeling about capstones? Like the implementation they've said so far at the like at the end of your road, so to speak.
So we saw like a little tiny bit of that on the stream yesterday, where Riker was on his swimming pool noodle damage
Druid.
Druid, and every monster had like health for an hour of content.
Yeah.
So I hope it's not like that, right? I prefer if it's, I mean, the entire world tier stuff I think is really cool if that adds things like, oh, there's a new unique that drops, there's some new mechanics to these bosses and all those kind of things. That's cool. But if it's just like, oh, well, now this skeleton, instead of having 100 health, has 5,000.
Yeah.
So good luck with killing that. Like that kind, I hope that's not what it's gonna feel like. But in general, I think it's probably a good idea because it's kind of an aspirational threshold that you can go through. And you're like, wow, I've done this capstone dungeon. I've completed that dungeon. I'm not sure if you can do it in a group or not. That's good then, because that means if you finish that dungeon, that means you have achieved this level of play or whatever. Your character is this strong now, and it's kind of a like in RPGs or in MMOs where you have like a certain amount of item level or an achievement, I killed this raid boss, or whatever. So that's kind of, I think that's a cool thing to have. I don't know how much they will expand on that, like because there's only 4 world tiers, right? So there's one capstone dungeon for world tier 3 and then one for world tier 4. Like, is there another one, or do they keep coming after that? Like, I don't know what happens after that, but in general, I think it's a cool idea. I think having challenging content here and there is good.
You brought up something. Sorry, Ben. I just wanted to cut in here.
Oh, good.
You brought up something that I touched on in one of my videos, that like these are supposed to be like really important parts of your journey, right? They're like these monolithic, like these milestones, these lines you cross, and you never go backward, right? It seems really weird that they're putting all this effort into something that you just do once or twice, right? And I'd like to see like capstones do a little bit more, and it seems like this is like the early days of what capstones could potentially be. I feel like this is like a dry run for the season is what we're going to experience in the first.
Yeah.
Like they might add a capstone in the first season and be like, hey, once you get to max Paragon and max level, we're gonna have another capstone that's really difficult, and then you go into the next tier, which is like crazy. They could always like push the bar further, it seems. Ben, how are you feeling?
So yeah, they're like gear checks, aren't
Right.
they?
Mhm.
I feel I like the idea of them because it's like, is my build and my character ready, or even like my own skill level on the character? Say, because the first one's level 50, right?
Mhm.
It's like a level 50 dungeon, but you can go in earlier, as Riker said in the stream. He went in at 45 and he found it really difficult and he died a bunch of times. He leveled up, I think he said maybe to 51. I might have got that wrong. And then he did it then, so he was able to do it. But I feel like these are like gear checks and build checks.
Mhm.
People might, some more casual players might get really caught out and frustrated
Mhm.
by these though, because if they're like, oh yeah, I can do all these other dungeons fine as I'm running along farming them,
Yeah.
then they go in that and they die, and then they die, and then they die, and then like, I just want to get to what you can imagine, like some
Yeah.
people like raging, just want to get that. So that might be that might be frustrating for some people. Personally, I don't mind the idea of these. I feel like having, you know, not just reach level 50. Oh, there you go. You could do world tier 3. Like, I feel like it makes it a bit more significant if you go, okay, well, I got to do this like potentially challenging content to then unlock it. Yeah, I like that idea because then it gives a sense of achievement. Like, yeah, I just achieved world tier 3.
Mhm.
And then you get new drops, don't you?
Yes.
New
So
drops.
they have
Sacred.
yeah, Sacred and there was another one. I can't remember what it was called.
Ancestral.
Okay, Sacred and Ancestral. Ancestral, I assume, is similar to the Ancestral from Diablo 3, where it's like a perfect version of a legendary, max rolled stats.
I have no idea.
That was what it
I'm
was
not
in D3.
sure.
So, usually Blizz is like pretty consistent with their naming of things. So, that's just my assumption. But I feel like so far what we know about capstones is, yeah, just like the tip of the iceberg of what it's possible. And I think so far they're doing a good job of making it somewhat exciting. And yeah, like you said, Ben, it could very well be a very frustrating aspect for a casual player to journey through. We all know that the majority of players are just playing the games by themselves. They're not really looking up guides. They're not looking up that kind of thing. So for somebody like Woody Joe, he's just going to murder the capstone dungeon, right?
Yeah.
Because he's going to play optimal. And then for like random, you know, Joe, who plays, 3 or 4 hours a week, maybe, if that.
Joe.
Yeah. Joe's going to be like, dude, what the fuck is this? Why can't I kill this fucking skeleton? I'm doing like 3,000 damage and he thinks that's a lot. And so I worry about build variance and difficulty for casual players. But then again, as a content creator myself, like I want things to be hard as shit, like,
Yep.
So it's a hard thing to balance.
I just wonder how mandatory it is to get to the next world tier anyways, right? Like if you're super casual and you just want to level through the story and that's it, do you even require to do these at all? Like, do you need to be in world tier 3 or world tier 4?
I'm assuming not. Because they said you could finish the storyline by the time you're like 45, right? If you're just going through the storyline, not doing any side quests, not doing any renowned content or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, like they even said in the live stream, they're like, "Oh, there's always world difficulty 1. Like you can always go down to that." It feels a little cheap. I think for a lot of people though, yeah, you can do it, but it literally says on it now, like world tier 3. Now you get like sacred items drop, and who's gonna read that and go, "Nah, I don't want that. I'm gonna stay in world tier." Everyone's gonna go, "No, I want that," aren't they? Everyone's I want to get this one, so they kind of want to do it, and then if they get frustrated, I don't know. I feel like some people it may be like just too much if they don't look at guides and they're just kind of YOLOing and they end up with a druid. Like maybe they can't. Nah, I'm joking. But yeah, maybe it just get too frustrating. I don't know.
Well, any casual players out there, if you feel frustrated, you're always more than welcome to come to my channel at DJ Montague Twitch TV. You can. I mean, you're already here technically.
He's gonna tell you that you suck ass and you need to get better.
I would never do that. That's a Neeko channel exclusive, okay? You have to pay channel points for that, okay? I'm just kidding. Neeko's obviously when we were playing Lost Ark and PvP and stuff, I would hop into your channel and like watch you do stuff, and you like guys, if you haven't followed Neeko, please do. He's an awesome human being, hilarious, and also incredibly informative, and likes to break games, and will play games at a very, very high level. So please check him out.
100%.
So
100%.
Ben, did you have something you wanted to talk about? Because I was going to talk about power levels, but
I mean, one thing that I want to talk about is that you've just mentioned PvP.
Yes.
And I wanted to get Neeko's opinion and thoughts on PvP. First off, Neeko, okay, let me put it this way, because in Lost Ark, you played PvP a lot, and you're clearly very skilled, very talented player. You got to Grandmaster. You know, you absolutely smashed it. So well done on that. Are you excited for Diablo PvP at all, or do you think, nah, this isn't?
I mean, I'm excited for any kind of PvP because I think, especially in the beginning, there will be things to figure out, right? Like, even if it's terrible, even if the balance is completely off, even if there's just going to be 4-man groups ganking everyone, you know, even if that's the case, I think that can still create a lot of replayability either way. Like, I always think even terrible PvP is better than no PvP because you can just jump in. Like, even nowadays, it's very rarely, but sometimes I even still jump into Lost Ark PvP, although I think it's, you know, not doing well anymore. But it's just one of those things that the devs don't really need to worry so much about, even if it's imbalanced, I think. And you can just jump in and, you know, play against some other people and interact, you know, community stuff with that has infinite replayability, right? At the end of the day. And it's, I think, one of the only things that RPGs have that, you know, you can play that many times without really getting bored. Of course, some things need to be somewhat satisfying and maybe even rewarding for people to keep queuing and keep logging in and keep fighting each other. Because obviously, I think they said that in yesterday's live stream too, there will be people that just go into Fields of Hatred and they will be like, well, I'm here to farm some monsters. So please, you know, keep your distance. I don't want to, you know, that's going to absolutely happen. I think it's also cool that they force the PvP there because a lot of games recently, I feel like, have really catered to this. Oh no, there's a player, he's stronger than me, help, I don't want to, you know, I like that. I like that there's content in the game that requires you to confront each other. And I think that's cool. So even if it's bad, at least, you know, there's something to do in there.
What did we call that back in the day? Bluebees or blueberries?
Care Bears.
Yeah, Care Bears. Yeah,
Care
like
Blueberries.
when you had some dude that's just, I came here to farm. It's like, no, you came here to get fucked up, dude. Like, that's you came to the wrong neighborhood. Like, I do think that's a really cool aspect. But Ben, I'll let you go on the PvP side of things.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, so I think here you made some really good points, and the infinite replayability is something that's kind of cool because I like the idea of doing like two different things. One, going in solo and trying to take on like squads of 4
So much fun.
as content. I think that could be great.
Fun.
You're either going to get absolutely murdered over and over, and your chat is going to just laugh at you, and it's going to be hilarious, or you go in as a squad of 4 with the boys, roll in, and be like, guys, we're going to fucking dominate.
Yeah.
And then just go in and just try and like smash and just clear like the Fields of Hatred. So I feel like that could be kind of cool. I feel like it could be kind of cool. So I'm kind of excited for PvP. I'm very worried about balance of PvP though. And if they have any kind of balance, or is it just going to be a one-shot fest? Because that's my biggest worry. Is that someone's just going to roll in with a god tier build, and you're maybe like 85 and thinking, oh, I'm pretty strong, but there's some guy like Woody Joe turns up with like level 100, everything's like maxed out, he just goes pop and you die, like, or your whole squad of 4 dies with like one hit. I mean, Neeko, what do you think about like balance? Do you think they should like balance it a bit, so take out like one-shot meta, or leave it like if you're god mode, then you're god mode?
I'm a fan of having that progression thing in PvP, which is weird, right? Like in Lost Ark, there was everything equalized,
Mm-hmm.
but I also played a lot of BDO back in the day, and there was no limiters at all. And I think to an extent that can be fun, and that can make your character progression feel better, because you go in there, you have you just farm for a week straight, and you just got that one item, and you jump into PvP, and there's some dude, and you just absolutely obliterate him with like 2 hits or something. That can feel good, but obviously that's very one-sided, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a bunch of things that I don't really quite understand how that would work with PvP. The first thing is overpower, I think it was called,
Mm-hmm.
where every like whatever 15th hit of you it does like 20 times the damage or some shit. Like how will that work? I think they also already said it's going to be a little bit lower in PvP,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a little bit worrying. Same thing with my build that I'm going to play, which is Thorns
Mm-hmm.
Barbarian. What's gonna do? What will a multi-hit rogue do against a Thorns Barbarian? Like you just gonna get like he will just kill himself.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stand there and he's gonna run into me, and my thorns will just do all the damage, right? So like I don't know how that would interact with the PvP at all. And also something they said yesterday in regards to dying in PvP.
Mm.
If you do play hardcore, you perma die.
Yeah.
You perma die in PvP. So if there's like imbalance and there's a build that one shots, there's a character that has like 50 hours on it that's just gonna get one shot. Like
Right.
how will you deal with that? That will probably feel pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diane Chet brought it up. They said that there will be buckets so that people are semi-close in gear. They didn't say gear, they said level. So that's the worry, is that the level disparity
True.
is like, obviously you're not gonna have somebody that's level 100 that is beating up on level 25s, but if you're both level 100, the gear disparity is still gonna be ginormous between like peak gear and like fresh 100 gear. Going into hardcore sounds hilarious because obviously most people are going to play softcore first, learn the game, learn mechanics, and then go into hardcore as, a well-established person. Then you wait to go into the fields of hatred. But like in D2, I mean, how often did you see like hardcore PvP fight? That shit's crazy, right? Like that's your whole, that's 80 hours on the line at least, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that's wild. That's an experience for Giga Chads only. I mean, I'll probably give it a try. It's good content, right?
In a way, it's super spicy.
Right.
I mean, in a way, I think I saw Zizarin, like the PoE streamer, said like he wants to make a PvP tournament in hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
That's badass. Like if people are like, oh yeah, I have 100 hours on this character, let's go. Like
Yeah.
let's do a 1v1. Let's see who wins.
Yeah.
That seems pretty crazy. And one more thing is the refund of the reroll like skill tree stuff and all those things. Obviously in PvP there will be some abilities that you would rather have,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be very interesting to see how that will even end up, working out. If people just play like a full character to max, get it completely decked out, and then they swap, oh yeah, let's now do PvP, and they swap the entire build around and just have a PvP build. Because you can't just swap it otherwise, right? So how will that really work?
Oh yeah.
And will people just straight up just play PvP builds to to fuck people over in Fields of Hatred? I mean, that could happen too, probably.
That's a good point as well, Diane Chat. Like last day of the season, hardcore Giga Chad content. Like, I mean, your character's gone anyway. I mean, at least it would technically go to the Eternal Realm, but dead. I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, last day. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Last day hardcore.
Yup.
Last day of the season.
That sounds fun.
That sounds fun. Until you run in there and go, hey, you go, just one shot you,
yeah.
you go.
Some barbarian just ults and like 6 people die from the swing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things you guys did touch on that I also wanted to chime in with is like the almost dark and darker-esque idea of PvP approach, where it's the 1v3 1v4. Like a lot of streamers just do that for content. Like, I'm just gonna go in solo and I'm gonna fight everybody I come across everywhere in this dungeon, and that's the plan. and that's super fun as like a content creator taking on the world. You know what I mean? I think that PvP is gonna be fun, but also not even close to balanced. I think that like
Yeah.
Sork's gonna be crazy. I think Rogue's gonna be like, I think Rogue right now, from what I've seen, is quite possibly the most well-rounded class I've seen in an ARPG like this. It feels and looks crazy to me.
I mean, just the fact that some people 1v1 the world boss at
Yeah,
level 25,
like-
like that's crazy.
Nobody else is even close to that. You know what I mean? Like, you have druids, or sorry, you have barbarians that are able to do like the 350,000 damage crit, where it's like lined up. It's just like, okay, this is what's gonna happen, and the perfect storm of situation. But you have rogues that are just like, yeah, I'm soloing the world boss. Like, who gives a shit about 350k damage, bro? Like, I'm doing 350k DPS, my guy.
Yep.
So, one of the things that we saw in beta that I don't think people are really thinking about yet is Rogue as a class going into this next playtest. With level 20 only, I don't think they get their second part of the passive, correct? If I'm mistaken.
In the site?
Yeah, so they wouldn't be able to get the infinite
Oh, I thought that was that 15. I thought that
I
was
think they
earlier.
get the combo points at 15. I thought they got
maybe they even got both.
Maybe they do get both at the same time, but if rogues don't get inner sight, what do you guys see being like crazy coming out of the second weekend, or the second test, I guess you could say?
Specifically for Rogue?
Or just in general, any class. Like, now that the rogue could potentially not have inner sight, what do you guys see happen?
I still think Sork's going to be really strong. They
Yeah.
haven't nerfed the cooldown reduction from Ice Blades, which I'm quite grateful for because I really want that to work because I'm going Sork. So I'm really excited for that. I still think Sork's like really, really high up there in terms of just leveling. And I think it's also going to be really far up there with endgame because the enchantment system is so strong.
Mm-hmm.
It is so strong. So, I mean, I'm very excited to jump back in and just focus Sork. And I'm going to be, I'm going to be doing Sork at launch. So I want to learn as much as possible. I did, like, at the end of last beta, like, I haven't released a video on it yet or anything because obviously now they've made some changes. I'm kind of glad I haven't. But I recorded footage of, like, my leveling build for Sork from, like, literally, like, level 1 to, like, level 10 or 15. And then I swapped it and made it, like, better. Even, like, one legendary that you, like, guaranteed. So I was like, okay, stuff like that. That's kind of stuff that I want to look into. Rogue inside. Are we sure though that it's only level 20? That they didn't just like say that by mistake. Like we're not.
They said it's
25.
only level 20 in both the event, and they said it on the graphic at the end.
Okay, it's weird that they would take away 5 levels.
Right, and that's what's weird to me is that that's
I don't
why
understand why they did that.
I think inner sight was 25. I asked one of my friends. I said, "Do you remember what the infinite gauge gain on world bosses was?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think it was 25." So
Nori's just said in my chat,
inner sight is 20. Okay, I mean, so then rogues are
You
insane.
can still get it.
Then
But
rogues
yeah.
are insane.
Yeah.
You don't even
it's
get
like-
ultimates anymore, right?
Yeah, no, you don't get ultis. You what did you have, 2 points over? Or 3 points over. So you could get the ulti and you can get the second part of the tree.
The 2 attachments. Yeah.
But now you don't even get that. Not even close. So, I mean, speculation for this next Server Slam WWE SmackDown cage match, you versus Blizzard. Neeko, what are you going to be playing?
I mean, honestly, I think I will try to min-max Barb more. I did some speedruns already. There's just one part of the first act that is, well, I mean, if you, on actual launch, I will obviously try to do all of the renown as well, right? It's not just going to be, oh, I'm just going to speedrun Act 1. But if you just want to speedrun Act 1, there's one part of the quest that leads you to like a more of an eastern part of the Fracture Peaks, and there's a bunch of these goat men mini boss things. and those don't scale down at least.
Oh, okay.
So what happens is if you speedrun that, you're like level 7, and those are level 12, and those hurt really really, like they hit you really hard, and especially the last one. It's like one with a huge two-handed axe. Almost one shots you. It's like 3 hits or something that
Okay.
you can take.
That'll be
Bro.
interesting.
So that's when you're running across like the snowy peak and you've got to go to the points and then the screen
Yeah,
like
to
goes dark.
these little pedestal
Yeah?
things.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize they didn't scale, bro. You've
Yeah.
just changed the way I think about this. I did that with the boys, hardcore. We did a hardcore run,
Yep.
and we were kind of speed running through it a little bit. Like it's hardcore. Like, we weren't like taking our time too much, but anyway. So we were going through it, and we got to that last guy, bro. The panic that we
Yep.
had on our hardcore characters. We were like running back, and it's like, oh my god, like our health was like, bam, I nearly
Yeah.
died. I ran back, I used all my parts, I nearly died again, and I was playing a blood necro using like fortify and a shield, and I nearly died
Yep.
twice, bro. I was like,
I died a lot.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, you've just that's huge. I didn't realize, I actually didn't know that they had mobs that didn't scale down. So
Yeah, I don't know
I didn't-
why exactly or when exactly that works. I mean, obviously there's other mobs that don't scale down, like the one you could farm over and over that was like level 30 or something on the western side that would drop like level 35 gear, or like the, what are they called, the
people in Core Dragon as well.
bastions.
Oh, yeah, the bastions. And yeah, Core Dragon barracks had level 28 stuff. But similar to the Kazra experience that you had, Ben, Prehuman and I were playing on hardcore, and he was running Druid, and we got to the very last like insert, and then that like pseudo elite spawns, and he was dead within like 3 seconds. He just like looked down and he's like, oh, my health's gone. Oh, I'm dead.
Yep.
And I was like,
that's
what just happened, dude? And he's like,
that's super scary.
I have no idea. And then that was it. That was it for the rest of his weekend. He was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that you can already min-max a lot of things in this next beta again, now that we know kind of how it works, and now that we know that renown doesn't reset, right?
Yeah.
Which is,
Wait, what?
I was worried about that.
Oh,
that renown does reset. Sorry, that renown does reset.
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting, right? Because each season people want to speedrun the game as fast as possible. So I wonder if people can already figure out routes to get a lot of renown on the way to act points, and also gain a lot of experience through that, and then, you know, transfer that into the next acts and so on. So you can basically take the renown on your way. And then also with that, because you do some renown here and there, you can then not be level 7, but level like 10 or 11. So you don't just get one shot by that thing. So that's what I'm gonna see if there's something I can figure out.
That'll be
This would
fun.
be great. So once you make that video, Neeko, and save me time, then that would be perfect.
That's that
I'll let you know.
million views right there for speedrunning level 1 to 20.
They probably do quite well, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's gonna be like super fun for this next thing.
Yeah.
Just being able to play again, you know, like I miss it, and I hate it. I hate it that I miss it a little bit more than I thought I would. You know, like you've got hundreds of games coming out all the time. Just there's always being pulled in every which way. But Diablo always has that like special place in most people's hearts, you know, like where you really just want to get in and beat the shit out of some monsters from hell. It sounds awesome. And this is doing a great job of scratching that itch as a true Diablo experience. Neeko, did you play D3 a lot?
I played the beta, and then I never played it after.
Okay, yeah, for the best.
Yeah.
The first iteration of D3 was probably like one of the, like, I want to say one of the worst Diablos, if not the worst Diablo. And that doesn't include Diablo Immortal. That's not a real game. But yeah, D3 was just not like fun until the expansion. When the expansion came out, you got Crusader, and then later on Necromancer. I think they did a great job there, but like that first initial D3 experience is not fun. Oh, okay. LD says D3AH was amazing. I loved it because LD probably made a bunch of. I made money as well, and I could still say that experience was not. Uh, I think that D4 so far is just like in a really good spot. I know that I've come across as not liking it since the patch. I just can't wait to get in and play it.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to jump back in. Like after the first weekend, and then there was obviously there was 2 beta weekends, right?
Mhm.
After the first one, then I had to wait, and I was like, bro, I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
What? I don't want to. Don't make me wait. Like give me this game back.
Monday
So,
rolled around and you were
yeah,
like, "This is stupid. Like,
yeah.
can this week go
And then,
by faster?"
oh man, I mean, bro, I mean, like at the moment, I've been trying to satisfy that D4 itch, right? And like, Neeko, you just said you played some Last Epoch. Like I jumped on, I played a little bit of that. I didn't get too far in that before the PUE season has just started, and I was like, oh, I haven't played this in like forever, so I've jumped back in there. But in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm actually, to be fair, I'm actually thoroughly enjoying Path of Exile right
Mhm.
now, like really enjoying it. But in the back of my head, I'm like, oh man, but Diablo 4.
Yeah.
It's not quite Diablo 4. Like I just want to jump back in. Like
I mean, I get what you mean.
what's your plans, Neeko? Do you for like Diablo 4? Is this going to be like you're going to be like focusing like Diablo 4? You're just going to play it, see how it is? Because I know that from following some of your content and stuff, you've been looking into like Throne and Liberty and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
do
I'm
you have like a
honestly,
plan?
I'm lost, man. Like I have no idea because at the end of the day, we have no clue where Diablo 4 is going, right? Like maybe the end game is great and amazing. I can play that for 2,000 hours and not get bored, right?
Mhm.
Maybe we get to end game and we're like, wow, okay, so I'm like 1.5 hours into the end game and I'm done. You know,
Mhm.
like obviously that's not gonna happen, but like the feeling of depth and complexity there could definitely, lower the amount of motivation you have long term for that. And then obviously there's other stuff coming out eventually too, which I'm also looking into. But I mean, everything is getting delayed, left, right, and center. And I don't like at this point you can't really guarantee. Oh, I'm gonna jump into this or this because who knows when that's gonna release. So I think for now Diablo 4 looking a lot better. So I'm definitely way more excited than I was after the beta.
Mhm.
But we will see.
Yeah, this is
At
it.
the end of the day, I don't know.
Because you released 2 videos on this. You released the I refunded. So you didn't like it at all. Like after the beta, like you
Yeah.
enough to refund it.
Especially after playing the Druid, I was like, hell no. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've watched that, and I remember in that I've refunded Diablo 4 video you made, you were talking about like Blizzard milking their audience, and I know like the whole like Diablo Immortal fiasco and all that, like quite
Yeah.
predatory and all that stuff. But with Diablo 4, do you still feel like because they've made these changes now? Do you still feel like they're kind of milking their audience?
I was definitely under the impression that there would be no changes. Like I would have bet on like them saying, oh yeah, well this is kind of the final version, we're not even gonna address the issues. We're just gonna, oh, here's the release, guys, woo,
Mhm.
and we were so excited. That's what I was expecting. So that they went out of the way and fixed a lot of those things. They weren't just a number tweak is really good, I think. Um, are they still milking the player base? I think to an extent, yes. Obviously, like just having a $90 price tag for anyone who's even like semi-serious about it is kind of crazy.
Mhm.
Like usually any type of pre-order would get you there, right?
Yeah.
Like as long as you pre-ordered, you would get that early access. So having that plus $20 tag on top of it is pretty crazy to me still. But I think the problem more so is that it's gonna continue, right? So like there will be expansions, then the battle passes will probably
Cosmetics.
offer some content, yeah, with cosmetics. Obviously, the premium versions of those will be more interesting, and incentivize them to like maybe hold off on some stuff that otherwise would be free
Mm.
to then sell, right? but again, like that's just how gaming is nowadays, I think. So it's not really a Blizzard specific thing that they're milking that. So I don't know if I'm too mad about it, but it's just a part of gaming now, I think. Yeah.
I kind of touched on this like growing up in a world where games were complete. If they came out shit, they were shit forever. You didn't get a patch, you didn't get anything.
Yep.
But games that were fantastic were timeless. Like
Yep.
Diablo 2 being like remastered as Resurrected and them changing nothing is a prime example of what games were back when I was growing. Now, this is like boomer talk, obviously,
Yeah.
but like watching the transition go from like you bought these complete games, everything cosmetic was in the game, you just worked for it, or there was no like what is it called, like transmog system. There was none of that, right?
Yeah.
You just wore what you had and walked uphill both ways. But anyway, so I think that like the new systems, I don't mind cosmetics. I don't mind paying for cosmetic. I get that aspect of it. I worry that the money that they could possibly reach with like what they saw with Diablo Immortal and then coming back to Diablo 4, like does that scratch Bobby Kotick's like brain in a specific way where he's like, you know what, if you don't put this specific thing that is player power in the game, like people are getting fired. You know what I mean? I worry about that because there are other people on the other side of the screen that are negatively affected by it. Like gambling aspects. We have the normal gambling in the game already. Like how easy is it for them to put in like you just buy that currency, right? Like that always worries me. That always worries me. So
I really hope that they're gonna treat this one right. They've done it with Diablo Immortal. They've got their money. They can fuck off now.
Right?
Like
Exactly.
keep that. Yeah. That's done. Like you've done it. You've ruined your reputation there. Now you need to rebuild it.
Mm-hmm.
Like come on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think
I hope they don't.
I think they're gonna be more cautious because they've lost a lot of IPs in China, which is a lot of money over there. Like not being able to produce one Diablo 4 or World of Warcraft or Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, anything like that. You can't have over. And obviously China's massive. Their gaming market is ginormous. It dwarfs America's gaming market by like 2 or 3 times, especially when it comes to things that are competitive or content creation wise. So they have to be very, very careful going into Diablo 4 because if they shit the bed here, that's it, right? Like that's the big downturn of Blizzard. We continue down that curve. Worry about Overwatch getting less and less players, World of Warcraft, less and less returning players. But to get back on the more happier side of things, obviously we're all still worried about Diablo 4 being a great game. But I was gonna ask you guys, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Paragon. So endgame wise, they showed the Paragon board, and they literally like, I don't know if you guys like dissected it at all, but you could see on the board the middle board had like tons and tons of illuminated squares that just seemed useless. Like the 5, intelligence or whatever. But I think that was just like for them aesthetically showing that the Paragon board has all these squares and all these ones that were dimly lit. How are you guys feeling about Paragon and like min-maxing in that regard? We'll start with Neeko.
I think they tried to create something similar to PoE. They probably looked at PoE a little bit and they were like, there are some pretty boring nodes in PoE as well, like travel nodes they're called, right? And they want to have an interaction with that. So they have these travel nodes. In the beginning, they will be really boring, and then you socket a glyph, and then the glyph turns these things into something else. For example, there was this poison one, I think, that for each, I don't know, normal rune you've allocated around this area, you will get like 3% poison damage or something. So they basically want to augment these boring nodes to be more interesting, which I think is a solid way to do it. I'm actually more worried about the bigger nodes, because I think the glyph system looked fun and somewhat interactive and like build changing or enabling as well. But I think these bigger nodes, some of them, I mean, I can't speak for all the classes, but for the classes that I looked at, looked pretty mediocre most of the time, or the choices were so incredibly obvious that you there was no choice there. Like one board has a bleed node and the other one has a, you know, overpower node. Like, of course, if I play a bleed build, I'm gonna take the bleed node, right? So like that's kind of what I'm a little bit worried about, that these boards will kind of have the illusion of choice, which I mean is often the case, but you know what I mean, like that there's not really much there to think about, and you're just gonna be, oh, this is the bleed board, this is the second bleed board, now I'm happy.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, because they themed the boards, haven't they? They themed the boards. So the
Yeah.
one kind of side with this is like talking about like a necromancer, for example. There's one board that's basically like the bone board. So if it's like a bone damage build, you're gonna go there. There's one that's like a bleed
Yeah.
board. So as I say, like it's like the illusion of choice, but you don't really have it, because if you're going bleed, obviously you need to go on the bleed one. If you're going a minion one, then you need to go on the minion one. But it gives people that kind of like RP fantasy of like, yeah, I'm gonna be like the necromancer and I'm gonna go down the blood one. I'm gonna be a necromancer like summoner. So then I'll go on that board, and then I'll go across to like a connecting node wherever you want to go. I think there's one, from what we've seen, one at the top, one at the bottom, like northeast, southwest. And then you can, like, you know, you get your nodes around like your special nodes, and then you go over to the other one, you connect it, and then you pick a board, and then you can rotate that board how you want it. So you've got like the blood board, and then you get like the minion one. You're like, oh no, I want to put it like that way, and you socket it on, and then you just move across. So I think that could be fun. I think the choices on it were kind of limited from the very limited stuff that I've seen. The glyph, leveling up the glyphs and being able to socket them in and changing things to become like build enabling. I'm excited, very excited to explore that. And I think that like speedrun builds to be able to go through nightmare dungeons and level up those glyphs are going to be really powerful as well, especially early game when you're trying to make builds. If you're a content creator trying to do that kind of stuff, if your build is fast at clearing, which, you know, I mean, I'm really excited to try and make like a Sork build that clears fast. Go through there, just level up your glyphs as much as you can. Try and get that, like, you know, that economy we were talking about earlier with the nightmare sigils to keep going, and then just level up loads, shove it in, and see how powerful you can get and explore that early on.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for that, to kind of find a way to min max, because at the end of the day, I'm also kind of worried about how much it's going to cost to respeckle this if you fuck it up.
True.
Because from what we saw, it was like 40k gold in the screenshots that they showed. It was like 40 or 41k gold per refund point, like per one. Like that was fucking lot. And you could see they had 6 million gold on that character there. I don't know if that's a lot or if it's not a lot from what most people are going to be like when they get there, like the average player. But yeah, this whole, again, it goes back to this idea of like the quick drying cement, doesn't it? And I'm worried that people are going to be like, oh yeah, I want to be a blood necro and do this, and then they go, oh no, actually no, they've already put like a bunch of points in, and then they go, no, actually no, I'm going to backtrack on that, and I'm going to try and put something else, and they don't actually get like the powerful nodes, and they end up going through 3 Paragon boards, and they're fucked, and their build's doing nothing.
Yeah.
And especially with mobs scaling up with you, right? The enemies like scale up with you, so as you level up, they get more powerful. But if your build's not getting more powerful, then you're harming yourself because you can't go back.
Yeah.
And then you can't farm very well to get lots of gold. Like, I'm worried casual players might fuck this and get stuck. They might brick their builds and have to, like, you know, this might be why. You remember a while ago they said it might be worth making a new character at that point. But casual players gonna want to make a new character, go through all the leveling again. I'm worried for casual players on that regard. I'm excited for the potential of the Paragon boards and what we might be able to get from it. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. What about you, DJ?
My feeling on it is a couple different things. So Mixetti brought up that the boards matter because the costs change. They increase as you continue on. So the more nodes you're picking up in a board, the more you're hurting yourself later on anyway because of how expensive it gets. So that's probably where the min max comes from. I'm assuming you're not going to get through all 7 boards on a character, or 8 boards or whatever it is. Your baseline board you could probably like breeze through pretty quickly with like 10 levels in Paragon, and then your next board is the one that matters a lot because that's going to be your first build defining board or the build accentuating board, and then your 3rd, 4th, 5th board are going to be like your stat booster boards where you're like, okay, I'm taking these for, you know, this glyph goes in this socket for the maximum amount of dexterity I could possibly get on without like ruining my other runes in other places. Like there's going to be a lot of choice there. I think that's good, but in terms of like respec costs, I literally was just thinking about it and I'm like, you know what I'm probably going to do? You have a shared stat. I'm probably going to make a character that's just based on PvP and probably make a PvE character because I just don't want to like deal with how much money it's going to cost being on the same one character, but I have that time. You know what I mean? Like I can play this game 60 hours a week if I need to. Other people that want to PvP that can again only play 5 to 6 hours a week or less, are they going to be able to build 2 characters in a season and then transfer gear over and be max, you know, power? Or are they just going to have to choose what really they want to do or what brings them the most enjoyment? I always worry about the casual player when it comes to stuff too, because again, as content creators, we do this for, you know, a living, so to speak. So, I think so far I'm not terribly mad at the system, but it always brings me back to thinking about when World of Warcraft had 1 spec, and then in Wrath of the Lich King they finally added so that you could have 2 specs on your character. You could have,
I think that would make sense for this game.
right, exactly. I think it would too. I think it would be really good for the health of the game where you had an extra 1 spec. That's what you could do, and it would
That's a really good idea.
It would make it so that it's less detrimental going through a season financially. It's not going to break your back once you're level 100 and you're like, shit, dude, my build's ruined. I don't know what to do. At least if you had 2 specs, you could just spec the other spec and be like, all right, so now I know what I'm doing. Now I'm going to go forward with this and I'll create this build that will get me to be able to respec my first build so it's not a dead build, you know? So, I think the system they have again with the glyphs, I think is so cool in the way that they're doing the Paragon board itself compared to something like Path of Exile, where you open up Path of Exile's board and you're just like, okay, fuck this. You know what I mean? Whereas for Paragon, you see your first board and you're given this little tidbit of this bigger like mosaic as like I'm gonna put it. And then you're like, okay,
how do I
fit this? Okay, I have 1 more of these. Okay, I could fit 1 more. I could do it this way, and then I could map out right here. It's not just you looking at 7 Paragon boards and being like, why are all these fucking buttons here? You know what I mean? Like, what would I do? You know, like it gives you a little less than the Path of Exile. And I think that's a good idea. What's another game that has a similar board like that? A Grim Dawn has one, the Constellation. I don't know if you guys have played Grim Dawn at all.
I have not.
Yeah, so that's kind of mute there. Grim Dawn has Constellations. It's like a lower version of Path of Exile, which it has its own intricacies where like you can put in nodes and then you can respec out of nodes once you hit like a threshold of being able to hold this node. It's very strange. So it's very like you would respec the first points you put into the constellation to get stronger affixes, so to speak. But Wolcen has that as well. Wolcen also has the turning, but Wolcen has another similar system where your skills can be augmented very similarly to Diablo 4. I don't know if you guys played Wolcen at all. Either of you?
Also, no.
No. All right. Have you guys even played video games? No, I'm just kidding.
What's the video game?
Rarely.
Do you guys have phones? Oh, God. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that it seems like Blizzard is drawing from, that they're doing their Blizzard patented thing where they take from your game and just make it the Blizzard way and a little bit better and more player friendly. I really just like, again, still excited to really like get my hands dirty with the Paragon board. I'm like, that it seems like the min-maxer's dream, you know.
Yeah, it looks decent, I think.
Yeah.
I just wish they would. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you by all means.
I just wish they would have the last epoch skill trees for specific skills. The last epoch
I love
so that's such a huge improvement, and it's also very easy to learn, right? It's not. It's very straightforward, and there's a lot of cool options, and it gives you so many different paths you can go down. That's the one thing that I would really like. But yeah, that's obviously not really part of the Paragon boards.
You brought me to a secondary thing that I did want to touch on, but I didn't write it down. They did say that this is obviously the first draft of what their skill tree is going to look like, and that they have the capabilities to do whatever they want. World of Warcraft never had that on the back end, and they had to like completely get rid of skill trees for a long time and then re-add them back in. This iteration of our skill tree can be expanded upon and grown further.
True.
So,
which I really excited for, especially playing more Path of Exile. Like, there's so many things you can do in that game. It's crazy. The skill tree is nuts for anyone that's seen it. Absolutely massive. And Diablo's one, when you look at it, has been like a lot of people, they were like a memeing on it, right? They're describing it as like the Diablo 4 tree twig.
Yeah.
Right? It was just like a twig. Like,
it's baby's first basic skill tree.
You pick a skill. You can also put more points in that skill to level up to like level 5.
Nice.
Then you can enchant it, and then you choose A or B. Like, that's just what it is. Like, I would like to see like you skill and then like 3 enchantments, and then all of those enchantments have like 4 each or something. I would like to see something more like that come into the future. Maybe it's just they're starting a soft, and then they're gonna get better with it later on. But
I mean, Diablo 3 had 6 choices for each skill, and then your legendaries augmented on top of it to add more. But in so far, we've got 2 choices per skill, and it seems like we don't have that many skills. Like, there's 4 in the first situation, choosing your builder, and then your core skills, you got 4. Some classes have 3, and then you go to your next part of the tree, and it's like you've got 4 skills there, and then your passives, you got tons and tons of passives. It just seems like it seems bare bones so far.
Yeah. So would you like to see it a lot more complicated, Neeko? Like, very complicated, like Path of Exile style, like in the future, or keep it more casual friendly?
I think the casual friendly approach in itself is good for Diablo 4. I think PoE, especially nowadays, is way too much for most new players. So I like having a gradual increase that is like digestible is good. But I also think it's, you know what I find really weird? I find really weird how, as you said, there's this one enchantment and you have AB, right? I would love to see that if you spec points into the ability, do you then progress its skill tree without having to like put a skill point in the enchantment? You know, if I put 1 point into like, I don't know, a random ability, it should instantly put me to that first point, and then put another point into the ability and puts me into the AB section. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, you don't have to specifically use a skill point on the further things, but you just spec into the ability, and that furthers it automatically. You know what I mean? So you get that bonus and you get the skill tree progress.
So you could
obviously
skip
that
the
wouldn't work right now,
enchantment.
but
You could put like, because obviously, as we said, you've got skill, enchantment, then A or B. So if you went skill, then another point in skill, you could go to you could go to A and just completely skip the
I mean,
enchantment.
you would probably just go to enchantment after the first point automatically, and then you go A to B, and if you to choose. Obviously, that wouldn't really work the way it is right now, because then you would have like 2 or 3 skill points for each ability, which obviously that wouldn't work right now. But like, if the skill tree would expand, let's say you have, first is the enchantment stage, then you have A, B, and then you have A, B again for each, and then you have one more after that, then I feel like that could work, and that it automatically progresses like the damage, the raw damage of the ability, but and also its own skill tree, right?
Okay, that's a very interesting idea, and that's casual friendly because it's easy to understand. You're
Yeah.
still buffing Fireball if you're putting points in
Yeah,
Fireball,
exactly.
and then it's just how do you want to augment it as you go, but
Yeah.
you've got more choice and more options.
I like that
Easy
idea.
to follow for casual friendly. Yeah, I like that. I can get on board with that for sure.
I think they said that there's gonna be 70 skill points. Don't quote me on that, but I think in total by the time we hit level 50, when you stop gaining skill points, if you do all of the shrines of Lilith, you get all your renown and stuff. You'll have 70 skill points. So I think with what we have right now, I think we already have too many skill points. If it's 70, like that tree is too small for 70 skill points. It feels like I think you'll be able to max out more than what you really are gonna need. So we'll see. Like maxing out like 3 into a passive. Like you do that. 7 different passives. You're at 21 skill points used. Still have 49 skill points left over to go through skills and stuff, and like not every skill.
Yeah,
Like
I had the same feeling.
What you gonna max your builder skill to do 10% more damage?
Yeah.
Like who gives a shit, right? I think that was one thing. I think builders need more. I think your initial skills need to do way more. That you're weaving them for the feel of continuing progress. Like in Last Epoch, like I was playing a Void Knight, and I don't really have a builder anymore because you don't need it. But it seems like in Diablo, you absolutely have to, right? You have to take it. And so give me a reason to use it.
I'll jump in on something interesting
go for
here. You have to take it to progress your skill tree. So you have to actually have the skill, but you don't have to use it.
True.
You don't have to have it on your bar. And there was a build that I was experimenting around with where I took it off and replaced it with an ultimate. I was on a fire mage build, and I took it off, and yeah, it's a builder, and for some classes you need to build. You need to build your fury. As like a barbarian, as a druid, you need to build your essence, right? So you need ways to be able to do that. But on a Sorc that has mana regen, you don't need to do that. It's easier for your mana, but if you controlled your fireballs and things, you could take it off and replace it with an ultimate. Although, I think they should have their own slots for the ultimate skills.
I agree.
I honestly think they should have their own slots.
Yeah.
That should be something that you just go, everyone has an ultimate and you can use it like whenever you want, whatever. It doesn't affect your normal build. It just adds it on.
Look at us spoiled Lost Ark players.
Yeah,
wanting our own button for ultimates.
Give me my own button. I think they should do that. I think that'd be a huge improvement. Next
you're gonna want raids. Come on.
I do want raids.
Me too.
Give me raids, bro.
Yeah. They have them in Immortal. They have like weekly events. What is it? Like a chest or a cache or something in there. That you're upgrading, but it leads to player power, and it's a fun little raid you could do once or twice a week. So I want that in D4. Give me hard boss fights. I want to jump around. I want to use my evasion and stuff.
Spacebar evasion was a good choice. Putting that in, I think it felt quite nice.
Yeah, it really bridges.
Coming from Lost Ark, especially.
Yeah,
it felt natural. I was like, yeah, I want that.
Actually, how do you feel about that now that you play PoE? Do you miss the spacebar?
Do you know what I did? Is I got my mobility skill and just bound it to spacebar because I missed it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes
So-
sense.
Love
So
that.
that's what I did because I was like, no, I need to have mobility skill and it needs to be on spacebar. Way too adapted to it from like Lost Ark, and then yeah, playing the Diablo 4 beta, getting on PoE. I was like, I literally, do you know what's funny though? I didn't even come up with the idea. It was my chat because I was there playing around and I just started a character and I got dash for this league, and I was just like, man, I really miss. I was complaining. I was like, I
Yeah.
miss having my spacebar dash, and then my chat was like, bro, just bind your dash to spacebar. And I was like, it
Wait.
was like one of those moments.
You're
I was
onto
like,
something.
you, wait a minute. Wait, you god gamer, you. Like, why did I forget that, bro? It was game changing and I've never gone back. So every game from now on, if it doesn't have mobility bound to spacebar and I can do it, it's happening.
It's a great idea.
Happening.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Real quick, Diablo Immortal sucks, but there was one aspect that I liked about it, okay? Sorry. My bad, died chat. Athelius brought up that Barb most likely won't have builders in their late game because they can shout, which is another like point to you, Ben, of like, you know, builders don't have to be necessary. Like, I just feel like it's wasted points for me to get through the tree. It's like, why don't I have another choice at that beginning marker? I mean, it just feels weird, I guess.
I mean, even
There's
that
no
will.
passives. They need passives at the start. That would solve it because you have to have 2
Yeah.
points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you had passives at the start, that could work.
Yeah.
Sork is the only class that has at least use for abilities, right? That they don't use directly with the enchantment system or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So you can at least get the passives out of them in some cases.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
They're terrible, but it's they're
How
not good.
Mm.
that
They it's doable for sure.
you bring up a good thing there. How are you guys feeling so far about the classes, their identities? For like Necromancer being you could sacrifice your minions, in comparison to like Rogue where you get combo points, or you know, the Inner Sight where you're killing a specific monster for infinite resource, or those type of things. How are you feeling about that, Neeko?
Um, I wish we could have tested a little bit more of the class specific stuff because Druid and Barb didn't really get to use theirs apparently,
Yeah.
at least not in their full extent.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that I wish there was a little bit more, you know, experimental stuff that we could do already. But I think in general, class identity is pretty good. Like Barbarian having 4 weapons is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like that changes so much about the aspect dynamic and like how many interactions you can have. So that's why in late game it's probably going to be crazy with how many things you can stack.
Mm-hmm.
Rogue with I don't really like the inner sight thing. Seems crazy to me. I don't even know why that's a thing. But I will say this: I I do think the Sork system should be in every class. I mean, a lot of people made that point where there's just so much there that you know you can play around with.
Yeah.
Um, I wish every class had something like that, where every ability had like some sort of passive that is useful.
Yeah. It seems like it's almost like an extra. I mean, just extra decision making is never really the worst thing in the world. But then it feels like to me, and this is as a Necro gamer, that Necro gets the short end of the stick, right? Like, Ben, how are you feeling about that?
What about Necro?
About the classes in general, how they're
Just the
feeling.
classes thing?
Yeah, and then
As a
end
Sork-
with Necro, so you could, you know, end on a low note.
As a Sork main, love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it because, as I said, the enchantment system is bustedly strong, and
Yes.
it makes it fun.
Mhm.
I think the class, yeah, the unique class mechanics for the classes are fun from what I've played.
Yeah.
I know that with Barbarian, you've got a bit of grinding to do, like you pick axes and you're using axes or whatever,
Mhm.
and then that kind of levels up your axes skill. That's one part of it. Yes, you've got the arsenal system stuff. You can equip multiple stuff, which I think is probably going to make it the strongest class at endgame. I we'll see, but I think it probably will be because of that, because of all the aspects, the legendary aspects you can have. But I think the class identities make it fun. Sork, really good. The rogue one, as busted as Inner Sight might be, I loved it
Mm-hmm.
when I played it. When I did I did a melee one with like twisting blades
Mm-hmm.
and Inner Sight, and even running around in dungeons. Like, it made it a bit more higher skill cap, let's put it that way, a
Yeah.
bit more interactive, because you'd be like, you're here, you've got like a cluster of mobs here, and then maybe one mob up here, and you jump in to fight all these, and your Inner Sight goes there, but
Mhm.
you've got the mobility and the tools to be like, nah, I'm gonna dash to him, quickly kill him, and then the Inner Sight jumps into this pack, and then you jump back and you do that, then all of a sudden you've got infinite mana for 4 seconds, and you just like destroy everything,
Yeah.
and then you like dash, like the mobility side of it was really cool. And then, you see your resource go down, and it just like goes, I think, full and infinite. And that was actually quite fun because it's quite short. Like, still
Mhm.
it's only 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And if you got no mobs around you, you can't really make any use of it. But against a world boss, dude, it's busted. You
So
just stand there
busted.
going spam.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of crazy. Overall, though, I think it's a great system they've added in to make all the classes a bit more unique. Necro's one, though. Uh, they haven't they said it? They buffed. I don't know
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah,
making
yeah.
this up. Did they
They
buff the
did.
Book of the Dead passive there? Okay,
Yeah.
that's better, because they were not great, to be honest.
It's
You
still
sacrifice your minions, and the points weren't amazing. I was like, oh,
yeah.
now I've got no skeletons, but I've got 5% extra crit chance.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
Whoa.
was like 15%. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, okay, or 20%. Like, that's quite huge, because you can also, there were passives at the bottom of the tree where the ultimate was, which
Mhm.
buffs those
Yeah.
sacrifice skills. So you can put 3 points into that. So you
Yeah.
can buff it up 3 times anyway. So if you're specking as like more of maybe like a caster necro with no minions. But I just, every time I look into it, I keep hearing late game, just go blood golem and sacrifice your skeletons.
Yeah.
That's what I keep hearing.
Mhm.
Blood
Mm.
golem absorbs 15% of the damage you would take.
That was pretty
Um,
much the decision that most people did in D2 as well. It's like Blood Golem was just such a great defensive that it was almost like a must take. But one of the things that is weird to me about Necro is that is the only real choice you make with the the Book of the Dead, is sacrificing the minion. Like, you could obviously make the, oh, I'm gonna use these mages, these shadow mages over ice mages, or whatever that aspect is. It still just feels strange to me because Necro generally known for having pets, right? I personally want to play like a melee solo Necro. I don't need pets. Hang out with me and my golem. We're best buddies for life. But
yeah.
it still, I do see the writing on the wall. It still feels strange to me that Necro, you, it's so weird. It's so weird in comparison to like D3, where like you could if you had like skeleton warriors on your bar, you could specifically have them target a monster if you pressed that button, and they would have increased attack speed. So you could like micromanage a little bit there. Whereas now it's like, if you press the button again on a corpse, you get a shadow or a skeleton
Can you
priest that
actually
heals.
control them?
No,
Not at all.
they'll swing
No,
on shit,
you can't
whatever they
control
want to do.
them.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something they should probably, like, I remember when I leveled through last epoch and I had like some scuffed one crow build and it was terrible.
Mhm.
And there was like there's like very specific mobs in that game that protect everything around them, right? So you have to kill that one guy that has the aura, otherwise you can't do anything. So, and then I was like, how can I not just target that thing with my one pet? My
Yeah.
one pet is attacking random shit, and then someone said, "Oh, you just have to press R, and then on the thing, and then it does it." I'm like, "What?" Okay, then and then it worked, right? You could control that, and therefore you could target different mobs that you wanted to kill first, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, that makes sense. This is good. Like, now I can interact with the difficulty here, right?
Yeah. A last
So if you,
epoch, you can press A to have your mob
yeah,
specifically attack
or
them.
A, yeah,
And it's
That's-
Well,
like,
yeah,
that
but
was
in
good.
Diablo 4 you can't. So
yeah,
your
it
minions
seems
just run around
strange
and
to
do
me
whatever.
yeah, that's
because
weird.
if that's the case, like, that leads to a cool amount of micromanagement that maybe in PvP isn't complete dog shit. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like so far, if you're using a minion build in PvP, you're probably just asking to get murdered, because your pets are just gonna be off like fighting the PvE mobs, like chilling, and then you're like, dude, help me, I literally built for you to kill this guy, I've put a bone prison around him, he's sitting there, like, go punch this guy. And then your minion's like, dude, I'm chilling, dude, we're hanging out, you know? And
I think
that
the
feels
AI
weird.
could be terrible.
Yeah.
It could be terrible for that, especially if you're like your minions. Say your minions actually going to attack it, and then you run away a little bit to
Yeah.
dodge something, and then imagine them turning around and running back to you. Like they're right next to the character, they're about to attack, and they just turn around and run back to you, and you're like, oh, bro, like,
Yeah,
bro, and
exactly.
then you get ganked and die. You're gonna be like, fuck this build.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Necro, no.
You can control the
I don't know.
wolves. Thalius says you can control the wolves in the druid. So,
So
infinitely
with the
better already.
wolves- With the wolves, you have a cooldown, and you can send them to attack something. Yeah. Now with Necromancer, you have the golem, and you can send it to taunt. You can send it to a point and taunt. So that's one thing. But yeah, the wolves you can send, and they do like this big lunge tag, and they buff them. A huge buff, right? Was that the word?
Yeah.
You used to know, or was it?
Well,
Yeah, it was huge.
like
or
200% of 17
or...
is still shit. You know.
True. I remember getting the crows for the first time, and the passive crow would like land every 10 seconds, do like 7 damage. I'm like, what am I looking at right now? Like, how's this? That's not an ability.
Oh no.
Yeah. Hopefully that's a lot better now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping so, because I want to make a Sork, and then I'm very tempted to make a Druid once I'm done with loads of Sork. I'm very tempted. I think it could be kind of fun. I kind of want to get like a werebear going, and I want the pets to actually do something. So hopefully,
could happen.
Yeah, hopefully they'll buff them. Could be cool. I did like there was just like one random thing here. They did say, or Riker said that with Druid specifically, if you wanted to be a werewolf as like your base form, you can do that. Was it a unique item?
Yeah,
I think
he
so.
said it was. Yeah, so you can equip a unique item, and it will turn you into a werewolf as your base form, rather than human. So you're like permanently a werewolf, and then you can shapeshift into other stuff depending on what skills you're doing, and then it will put you back to werewolf.
Yeah.
Because I also remember if there's one of those for werebear, there was a passive that is once you've been in werebear for like 20 seconds, your next attack overpowers. So that would be really cool for that, because I was like, oh my god, you got to keep that up all the time. You got to keep attacking minions with your basic more attack to keep yourself in werebear, and then do other stuff to be able to like trigger this. But if there's a unique that does it, that's way better.
Yeah.
So that could be cool.
Whenever Diablo does form change stuff, they usually have some way to permanently be in form. Like with Crusader in D3. Like they had a build where if you get your cooldown reduction enough, you could stay in I think it was a con form. You know, Necro had their form change well. You know, they do form changes well in Diablo as Blizzard as a franchise. So excited for Druid players to enjoy being a better Necromancer. So have fun with that, guys.
There was some very interesting stuff too on Druid. I think in late game there were some, but you could turn your wolves into werewolves. You could turn your like werewolf abilities into lightning abilities. Like a lot of things that really have like a lot of class fantasy behind it, and almost feel like subclasses in a way. That's badass. Like I thought there were a lot of cool aspects and uniques for druids.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That sounds really cool to be like a lightning werewolf.
Yeah.
Like running around.
Yeah.
Like especially because they're quick as well. Like they have like pounces and stuff like that as a werewolf. So being able to like combine that with lightning and maybe if your attacks. Imagine if it had some kind of like chain lightning effect. So like that's your AoE. Like you attack and it goes, and the sparks come off, and as like a werewolf.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, but there is a unique, I think it's a staff or a scepter or something, that whenever you use the werewolf flay ability, which is the basic attack, right? The flay, just a hit, a normal werewolf hit, then it automatically also casts Storm Strike, which is the little chain lightning, mini chain lightning auto attack as well.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. That's strong. I want that.
I'm gonna bring up some of that stuff in the activity if you guys talk, because I remember stopping on like a lot of the uniques and talking about like their passives in general, and then them being crazy strong. Let me bring this up.
Hold on, mine's done this weird thing where it's bugged out again. Let
Yeah.
me jump out and jump back in.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm doing the same right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it now. I see it.
Trying to find. Oh, you guys can keep talking about. Oh, there. Let's bring.
It's all right. I wanted to see if I could bring this up.
Cool. So, the druid stuff in general, like, I talked on this Blood Artisans Curious is like the weirdest thing they've talked about making. Like, it's so strange to me that they have a variance with such a high skill level, or not skill level, high power level. This was so weird to me. This is unique. When you pick up 5 blood orbs and could be 10, so you could nerf yourself based on your luck by 50%. That sucks.
Yeah.
Right? That seems kind of weird. But like all these other ones are like 10% variance in damage. It's like this. I mean, this Gloves of the Illuminator looks like it's ass, but that's just my opinion so far. Not knowing too much about Sork, but a lot of these like quote unquote build defining uniques seem like they're going in a good direction, except for Necro, and it feels so bad. Like, it feels like their identity. They're like, all right, we want this corpse economy, we want these pets, and we want them all to work together symbiotically, and they just fucking don't. And it just, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen any of the leaked footage of any Necromancer stuff. Just someone, if you want to give me some fucking copium in the chat, I would appreciate it. Tell me that Necro's not a big pile of dog shit and
A lot of people have that theory that like
I want to play
Necro's gonna
Necro so
suck.
bad. I want it to be so good, you know? I want it to feel fun. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that Fireball one though. Fireball now bounces as it travels, exploding each time it hits the ground, but its explosion still 65% less damage.
It's so weird, right?
75, 65.
That seems weird.
I don't know what that means.
The thing is with that, so Fireball now bounces as it travels, exploding. So obviously it's going to be hitting more things, right? So as it travels, it's going to be doing more explosions. The thing is, it bounces as it travels, exploding each time it hits the ground. The thing with this though is once it hits something, it explodes. So I don't know if it's just exploding on the ground and hitting nothing. It depends what the area is like. So this seems like a bit of a funny one.
Yeah.
But remember, you can get that minus 65 if you. That's on a gloves, which is a offensive one. So you could put that on a two-handed
But it's a unique.
weapon.
It's a unique. So I don't.
Oh, actually,
yeah.
Oh, God, Christ,
Yeah.
of course.
So,
I'm thinking legendaries.
Yep.
Yeah, we're screwed. We're screwed,
Yeah.
boys.
Yeah. It seems
Shit.
weird.
I mean, it depends on how it works, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously, right now, if it's like 65% less explosion damage, does it have any other type of damage?
You would
Yeah,
have
does it
like
have,
your flame build up, your damage over time, right? So you would be
yeah,
able to put
so
more dots
if
on.
that stacks, yeah, if that stacks, if you can have like a can have that stack ignites like crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that that's also something that I'm kind of worried about. I don't think there's that much like extra stats that would make you scale this more. For example, like looking at this, the first thing I would think about is how in Lost Ark there is like a little tripod for Shadowhunter Cruel Cutter, which is like the saw thing, right? And that makes it slower, and therefore it hits more often because you know it's on the boss for longer.
Yeah.
So is there something in the game that would make the fireball now, instead of like travel way shorter distances, so there's like, I don't know, 10
Right.
explosions back to back on the boss, you know, that would make it really strong all of a sudden, right?
I think
Yeah.
if stuff like that brings a more interesting build, um, like it could really make that unique more worth it. But as like a baseline, like I don't think I've seen anything that would do something like that, and it would just make that unique seem really. Yeah, and it does feel impossible to a certain extent, but theory crafting is always fun. You know, that's what we're here talking about. Um, all that kind of stuff. Like this barbarian unique, which like death blow creates a shockwave, dealing 24% of its base damage to enemies. Enemies who die to this effect also reset death blow's cooldown.
Yeah.
Does that not seem a little bit better? You know?
True.
Yeah.
I was
amazing.
thinking about that one too.
This druid one gains stealth for 2 seconds when killing enemies with shred. Breaking stealth with an attack grants ambush, which guarantees crit strikes for 2 seconds. What?
Ooh.
Right? Like
Permacrits.
are druids gonna become better rogues than rogues? Like
Maybe.
what the fuck? It seems crazy.
No more insight needed.
Yeah.
Druids have permacrit, bro. Get with the times. Fuck the rogues. You know?
Yeah. Who cares about the effect? Look at the damn stats. The stat stick is nuts. Yeah, get out of here, dude. Stat stick. Come on.
I mean, it's like your rain of arrows is always imbued with all imbuements at once.
Yeah, that shit's cool. Like,
That is cool.
just as long as you're using Rain of Arrows, you're getting every imbuement, and then also, like we're talking about how, like you're getting an excess of skill points, and you're just throwing that build makes all of your imbuements like maxed out, do hella damage. You know, that seems like a cool choice to me. You know, so I think
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited to just test them. You know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we have so much to go through before the season starts, and it's like, from what I've understood, they've said like 3 months before season 1 starts. So
Is it that long?
Yeah, it's short. It's a short time. So
I thought it was going to be like a couple of weeks, and then the first season starts.
oh, maybe it
Or,
is.
like, 4
Maybe
weeks,
it's
I think.
even that.
My
Yeah, I have no
understanding
idea.
Because D2
like-
was like when D2 Resurrected came back, it was like another like 6 to 8 months. Oh, it's weeks after launch, and 3 months is the duration of each season.
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
That's what I thought. So,
Okay. Well, if it's weeks after, and this is kind of the season that we're going into, this is gonna be like crunch time. It's gonna be pretty exciting. I'm pretty juiced for launch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They fucked
Absolutely.
up on D2's launch. That let's see. Do we have any specific uniques that you guys wanted to talk about or anything like that? 6 weeks till
I don't
season.
know.
Okay.
I don't know if a lot of them they didn't show. There were a lot of websites that like look them up illegally. Criminals.
Illegally.
That there were a lot of cool ones for Druid, especially, but I think in general there's a bunch of cool ones that you can interact with, and I hope that we haven't seen like that. Not all of them were data mined, although I think they probably did. But I mean, I hope not. I hope there's a bunch of new things that we just drop and we're like, wait, what is this? I've never seen that one before.
Yeah.
Just to throw this in, Steel Chris has just said like 6 weeks till season starts after launch in my chat. So
Oh,
it'll be 6 weeks
100% down with that. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Gives you a chance to kind of get used to it a little bit, and then bam, season starts, boys. Get your
Caster
grind on.
said Shaka was originally data mined, but the version they showed was way better. Yeah, let me see if I can find it here. That shit I had said earlier just seemed so best in slot. Like, good God.
Could be epic. Neeko, while he's trying to find that, what did you think of the butcher?
Oh, it depended so much on the build. If you could really do something there, like a lot of people are like, "Oh wait, Neeko on Druid, they look at this clip of this guy." He killed a butcher, and then look at the clip, and the butcher's just AFK in a corner, just looking into the wall or something. He's like, "Look, he killed him so easily." So like, I mean, I think it really depended a lot on the build, and that has its problems as well. So if you're a really squishy melee build with limited mobility, I mean, maybe you shouldn't play a build like that in the first place. But it is kind of a gear check also, I think. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's cool that they have like an event that makes you like scared. It makes you oh, I need to pay attention now, you know?
Hmm.
So I think the butcher was cool. I liked it.
They did say they
I really
fixed
liked it.
his
Yeah,
path.
yeah, in the patch notes, yep.
By the way,
We'll
here,
see.
got Shaco up. Sorry, I said Shaco. Sorry, I do that because I played. That's my
I mean, to me that's the Harlequin crest.
right, right. But it was what it the if you played
Yeah, I know.
D2, it's so silly. Us boomers
But
and talking. About it. Anyways, so like just talking about baseline stats on this item. 1,000 max life, perfect, right? I mean, that's amazing. 10% cooldown reduction. The 12% resource generation. 20 to all stats. And then damage reduction on top of that by a flat percentage. And then skill.
yeah, that's
It ranks in all skills. You're kidding, right? Like how
like
So
that one
strong.
is ridiculous,
right.
honestly. Because this is also on Barb you can scale your thorns with health.
Yeah.
So having 1,300 health is absolutely huge. The 20% damage reduction flat.
Yeah.
Like what the hell is even this? And then 4 ranks to all
Yeah.
skills. I don't
It's
know why you like. I don't know
it's
what
best in
this
slot,
is.
right? It's best in slot, and for most of the season, you're going to be farming for the optimal version of that. A 10 to 20% difference in production is going to be quite a bit, especially for like PvP. Like if you have like a 15% versus a 20% version,
I think there will be unkillable builds.
I think so too. I think PvP is going to be pretty weak.
It sounds crazy. Like it
Yeah.
sounds really good.
Yeah. I think these two items together, Temerity and Harlequin Crest, are going to be insane because like the effects that heal you beyond 100% grant you a barrier of 44% of what your max life is that lasts for 8 seconds. Like, and then you get increased healing and lucky hit healing and increased potion. Like those pants also look insane just for a PvP person. Yeah, it seems like the stats that they've gone with so far. I'm happy that they're making this shit crazy, right? It seems
Oh
fun.
wait, true. This is ancestral. So ancestral doesn't mean it's perfectly rolled.
Ancestral, okay.
Oh,
Oh, okay, I didn't see that. Okay, this is good.
Yes,
true.
What does ancestral mean?
I guess it's like super unique.
one every month. That's the your
Huge.
has higher rolls than sacred. Okay. It's gonna be a chaotic wasteland, and I love the Wild West like PvP. I'm down for that too. I mean, I'm always down for learning a game as a group. You know, like we lost that experience with Lost Ark when it didn't release globally, and it was 2 years
Oh,
of
True.
NA like looking at this aquarium that everybody's having like a great time, like fun, and you're just like sitting on the glass like, can I come play? And they're like, no.
Yeah, that's a huge point for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Speaking of in looking at things from afar and global releases, real quick, Neeko, just to get you on the record, what is your quick opinion about Throne and Liberty? What do you think it's going to be? I know we're switching gears a little bit. Sorry, but I just need.
It's really hard to say right now because there's the playtests that they have are very restricted.
Hmm.
But I think it's gonna be mainly a game for, or a natural transition for BDO players to a new game in the same genre that is an open world PvP game. But that being said, they have dialed back a little bit in that regard too, right? And said, oh, there's only specific PvP zones, and there's, it's a little bit different in that regard. So overall, I just hope it's not another Korean pay-to-win grind fest that ends with, oh guys, we introduced this new item that's fucking broken and
Yeah.
one-shots everyone in sieges. Good luck.
Have fun, dude.
Or yeah, or it just is a forever grind that you're like, oh, okay, well, I've done this now for 1,000 hours. I think I'm good. Like I don't need to run the same circle again.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm a little worried. Could be really good though, but could also be, another one of those.
Ben, did you want to bring up some more stuff about Diablo before we swap questions or anything?
I think we got through like everything I wanted to talk about. We broke down loads of stuff. I think we've been pretty all inclusive with things here. Yeah, I'm looking through some of the notes I made. I think Neeko, what would be, just to look at a bit of a random one? What would you said that you're gonna go Barb? What if you make a second character? What would you think it would be? I can't remember if I asked you that.
Good question. Honestly, I would actually think Sork.
Yeah.
Although it's not absolutely
Yeah.
not my first choice, but after playing it and after seeing the enchantment system thing, that looked pretty cool. And you have a lot of like build choice. That's usually what I like, right? I like to make like really weird builds. And I feel like Sork is the best class for that, probably. So probably a Sork, I would guess.
I mean,
Man.
you helped start the
Man.
PvP wave of Saw Shadow Hunters, which I will resent you forever for doing that. There was like I remember after you made the video about that, and like people were like, "Oh, it's actually not terrible if you're the Shadow Hunter." For everybody else, it could suck a bag of dicks. Like it's just
Yeah,
like
that's
I'm
true.
doing a combo on somebody. This guy's like, "Oh yeah, damage!" Throw down saws, and then they're just like out of my combo, and I'm a paladin, just like,
Yep.
"Oh okay, cool."
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility.
And nobody on the internet has responsibility. Like there's no want or care to be responsible for anything. Anyways,
Oh man.
that's sauce go Bert. Yeah. That was a whole ass era, dude.
Oh, bro. Yeah.
Ben, what are you gonna be playing? What are you gonna be playing here for this next test?
What, me?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So this next one, I'm gonna jump in on Sork straight away. Just I wanna try and min max a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. I get a more general idea of what I want to do because when launched, because this will probably now be. I know it's a surprise one, and we were hoping to play more. This will probably be the last time we get to play it.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to go on and be like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do at launch. They've tweaked some of the skills.
Are you gonna play hardcore at all?
I will play hardcore, but not at launch.
Okay.
No.
No, I
way
meant
will
like
I
for
play
this
hardcore.
next patch.
Oh, for the beta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to. After I've done like a few bits that I want to do, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't done it, I highly recommend like grabbing some guys from chat and just like, it's Panic Fest, bro. Like
Ooh.
it's good. It's fun. My rip clip at level 7 against the Butcher is funny. It's good.
Dude,
It went in my Discord. People watch. It's been brought up multiple times. Like as for content, hardcore's great. If you can die, even better.
Yeah.
Like, for content, it's great. But I genuinely got like pulled in by the Butcher at level 7. Bam, bam, I died. I was like, bro, I like, it was just a funny moment. And I won't forget it. I just won't forget it. And so much of the stuff in softcore is forgettable. You have a good experience, you have some fun, but it's forgettable. And in hardcore, it's not. When you die, you're like, like
there's a lot more weight to everything. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like I went super defensive, as I said, Necromancer, Blood Necromancer, with Fortitude?
Mm-hmm.
Or Fortify. So I had like over like leveled health, like when it comes down, you get like damage reduction. I had all of that going. I was at pretty much full health. I had a shield. No, the butcher just turns around. Like my group scattered. It was 4 of us. Right, we started fighting. I was like, oh, the butcher! Because we were kind of memeing about it. Like, oh, we're going to this dungeon. Oh, we're at level 7. I bet the butcher's gonna be in there, and he fucking was. So we got caught out of a tree. Everyone panicked, ran off, and I'm the fucker that got like caught and killed. It was funny, but man. So I just want to do a few bits for like myself, a few kind of like min-maxy stuff with Sork, and then spend the rest of the time just like dicking around playing hardcore with like chat and stuff because it's super fun.
Neeko, you gonna play hardcore?
Actually, my plan is to use the time before the seasons to really understand the game, and then when the season starts,
I just meant for like this next week.
Yeah, for the weekend, I will probably do both. Last time, the good thing is, last time I was doing softcore first, and then I got all of the altars, I got the renown, and then when when you start again, you have the skill points on the next character, right?
Mm-hmm.
So but I wanted to have like a realistic speedrun thing, right? So I don't want to have 2 extra skill points.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went into hardcore because it's separate. So that's probably something like that I will do again.
It's a good
maybe.
idea. Good plan.
Then that to practice a little bit on hardcore. If you die, just go again. Run it again, and then you get some better practice in, and you don't die to the same things over and over. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Don't get raked by a Shava and mash your pots and just die.
Yeah, take that poison resist spray.
Yeah.
I wish you're going down.
Yep. Drink those elixirs. They did say something that I just remembered. There's 2 things I wanted to talk about before we finished up. They talked about how there will be more elixirs than what we've seen so far, and that they will be like PvP elixirs, not specifically, but ones that are better in PvP. And I thought about it, and I was like, is there gonna be a fucking stealth elixir that lasts like 30 seconds?
Oh, please no.
So I was thinking, I was kind of worried about it, but that's a quick thank you for that, Neeko. Please God, no. And then have you guys watched the quote unquote leaked class stuff?
I've seen the on this like mug or whatever they had, right? I'm not a Diablo 4 lore Andy, so I don't really know where to put that, or like what exactly that would play like. But like it was something with this symbol, right? That was
it's the
below
candle,
all of the,
but it's tied to Anarius basically, and it's tied to Lilith as well. There's two quote unquote leaks now that are in opposite schools of thought. Which this is the triune symbol, is the one that was on the mug. The first leak was on displate.com. That they had they had the normal picture of all the 5 classes fighting against like the horde of hell. And then they had another one that there was like an angelic figure, but it wasn't an angel. And that was accidentally shown. And then this leak is the triune symbol on the mug, the top of the mug. There's the necromancer, barb, sork, druid, rogue symbols, and then there's a 6th symbol that is the triune symbol that pertains to potentially like a Death Knight style class. So it's
paladin,
but not paladin. So this is what's weird about it, is the first leak was
not paladin,
right? Yeah,
like as in I'm surprised.
Yeah,
that they if that is going to be the first character that comes out.
Yeah,
like why have they not got like a holy knight? Like there's no paladin, there's no crusader.
So
like you would assume that would be out. And like what about like monk as well? Like Diablo 4, Diablo 3, like.
I think it's kind of weird that like obviously Blizzard does things deliberately, especially when it comes to lore and storyline content like that. So it's exciting to see that they're adding more, and it like the person that did the video, they talk about how they wouldn't just put like a random symbol in there to fill space. they would just make it 5 symbols if it didn't mean something. So, I mean, if it is like a DK style class, I'm down. If it's a paladin style class, I'm down. I don't give a shit. If it's both of them and like you could choose your skills are holy or unholy, totally down for that. Like,
yeah, like Raven just said in your chat about an Oathbreaker. So this in like Dungeons and Dragons is like a paladin who's broken his oaths,
yeah,
kind of gone more out on his own,
Love
you know,
that.
and like
love
broken
it.
away from that. So it could be a bit more of like an evil, maybe like kind of paladin or like a dark paladin, that
That would
kind
be
of thing.
badass.
That
You
could
know
be
me
cool.
and
But I
paladins.
really like the idea that you said then, DJ, about having a paladin class that can be like a dark or a light one.
Yeah,
Like that actually sounds really cool.
yeah.
Maybe having some kind of hybrid between them that you could go.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. I think that sounds really cool for a nice paladin class.
I think the multiplicity, the worry with, because angels in general are supposed to be more rare than anything else, so it ends up being like a lore thing where they that's why crusaders and paladins existed in the way that they did, getting closer to the light in general, whereas like a fallen angel was such a rare occurrence in the lore. It's only happened really once. I mean, Anarius still being an angel, whether or not he's allowed to go back to heaven or whatever. Anyways, we're getting super we're getting real nerdy in here, and I like it. Yeah, it's definitely not going to come out anytime soon, but I feel like when they start their first, like within the first 6 months, they're going to start teasing it, you know, and that's going to be the exciting
I can see
part.
that.
You know, I'm juiced about it. Give me a night class and I'm there.
And that's what the game's missing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, Monk was so cool though. Like D3 Monk was one of the coolest classes I think they've made.
I think they could bring that back with some kind of like Flicker Strike build.
Oh yeah. I would be down for that.
I would like to see like a mixture
like
of like, yeah, like that aspect. I want to see almost like a cross between the monk and the assassin. Like obviously that's very rogue-esque, but like I liked the Qatar weapons. I liked that fist weapon aspect of it. I like the speed
palm and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was cool. That stuff was, exploding palm was such a cool skill. Like the first time you use it, you're just like, oh yeah, I want to do that all the time. Yeah.
Bang.
Cool. They've got so much lore and stuff to pick from for the next 10 years of Diablo 4 that it is very exciting. It's very, very exciting. Let's just hope they don't shit the bed.
Yeah, let's hope they don't fumble them.
Yep. Neeko, is there anything you wanted to talk about, or if chat has any questions for Neeko, please throw them up. Neeko, you got anything?
The only thing that I kind of shocked me yesterday was the fact that you perma die in hardcore. Right? That was the big thing for me.
Yeah.
Because this is like I think the only Diablo game where PvP is kind of a part of the end game progression.
Yep.
So that's kind of a bold way to to introduce that into hardcore. Like I think a lot of hardcore players will just have one part of the end game cut out.
Yeah.
They can't do. That's kind of weird to me. But I don't know how they will fix that or not fix that, or
Yeah, I think for season 1, it's probably gonna stick, and then they'll realize during season 2's lead up that nobody in hardcore was playing PvP, and that they still want people to do that a little bit. But then you get the griefing where you could like have like a bunch of monsters around, and then you're fighting somebody, and then they get killed by the monster instead of the player, and then all of a sudden like it's still they just pop or something, or that was
a permanent.
Yeah, that was like a D2 thing where you could have the mob kill somebody, perma die. But yeah, I think it's weird too. But I would like to see hardcore players be able to enjoy that aspect of it.
What do you think then, going on this, Neeko, to an arena? like a separate arena, so that maybe more equalized, maybe a bit more like Lost Arky? Do you think that that could be something that they bring in or should bring in? And like in hardcore, there's no permadeath, and you can still do it, so you can PvP all day.
I mean, I'm always down for something like that. I don't know if that's good for the game or not, but I like those. We will. I don't think they would do that, because I think the big part of the PvP is the risk versus reward thing, and then obviously in arena there's not really a risk, right? So I don't know if they would do that, but I'd be down. I'd play that.
I would like it. I would like it to be added because I mean, why not? Like more content, more options. You know, even if there's only a small player base, part of the player base that plays it, it could be really, it could be the most fun thing for some players. It could be like the point of playing the game is to do that. Yeah, I think it could be good, but
I like
but bro,
BGs.
like
The idea of BGs, like battleground stuff.
battlegrounds,
Yeah.
yeah, be good. I
Capture
mean,
the flag, King of the Hill, like that kind of thing.
Diablo capture the flag,
Dude, awesome. I didn't
Yeah.
think that like World of Warcraft could do it in their first iteration. They fucking nailed it with Warsong Gulch. Like it was super fun. It was a way
True.
way fun experience. And then you had a traditional
Agreed.
like war system like Alterac Valley, and it ended up sucking balls. Like it was fun for a little bit, but then it ends up, you know, it wasn't as fun later on. Whereas I feel like I could step into Warsong Gulch right now and still have a good time.
Yeah.
True.
As you said, capture the Lilith statue.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Hold the Lilith statues.
Yeah, hold
Run
the
around
Lilith
with them.
statue.
Oh,
Diablo 4 MOBA? Wow.
yeah, that'd be great. I'm down with that 100%. Bring back Heroes of the Storm, but better, please. Thank you.
True.
Yeah.
We got we had one thing on Twitter. Caster wants you to put on the clown wig.
Whoa.
I mean, it's right here, man. Like it's. I always have
No
it
channel points
right next.
needed?
just
a simple request?
just in case.
Hey! Just a request. Oh, and the nose as well.
Love it. Big fan.
Of course.
Bro. So good. No channel points needed.
Yeah.
So good. Amazing.
Well, I'd say if we don't have anything from chat, I think we could let Neeko get some rest. I know he's been up 20 million hours ago.
Super early. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm always an
Neeko,
early bird.
yeah, you're getting on
early
way
bird.
It's like 4 a.m. for your log.
Yep.
But
Really.
Ben, if you want to
Neeko, I appreciate the chance to talk, buddy. I appreciate it. Good.
Thanks for having
Thanks for
me.
coming on the podcast.
Thanks. Hopefully, Diablo 4 turns out Pog, and we can all enjoy it for a long time. So thanks for having me. Thanks for the discussion.
Yeah,
Welcome.
that was super fun. We'd love to have you on again. Once shit kind of settles with Diablo and streams and all that fun stuff, we'll definitely hit you up again and see if we can get you on.
Run it back.
Yeah, run it back. Always run it.
And see what one of our predictions is correct.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a weekend, and you're gonna be like, I fucking love this game, and I'm gonna be sitting in the corner like, I'm not having a good time anymore. I don't like it. And then we run it back. So
And I'll be in the arena going, yeah.
Ben's just screaming. Yeah.
Arena.
Yeah. Friends, thank you for being here with us today. Did we have anybody we could throw a raid to? Let's see. I think Zav. Oh, Zav's playing Predecessor, but he's generally down to talk about D4 until his voice goes hoarse. If you want to throw it that way, Ben.
Yeah. How do you spell his?
Two
his name for the
Z's.
Smash raid?
2 Z's AV. ZZAV.
It is ZZAV.
Yeah.
Cool. Chat, thank you very much. Neeko, DJ.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you
pleasure.
guys.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Yeah, they will be going up on both mine and DJ's channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've been really bad, and I still haven't put up the last one, so I need
It's
to do that
totally
like
okay.
ASAP, and then get this one up as well.
We'll
I've
have
just been so busy. Life's been
this will be
crazy.
back
So,
up. This will be up tomorrow. So
so fast.
yeah,
But I'm working all day tomorrow.
it's 24 hours. I'm not allowed to upload it today.
Yeah. Go to DJ's YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Check
so
it out. And also subscribe to Neeko on YouTube and
Thank
follow
you.
him
Please,
on Twitch as
yes.
well. That would be
Follow these
glorious.
guys.
Neeko, did you have any shout outs before we head over to Zavs?
Shout outs to everyone who listens to me complain every day.
It's a great experience, I'll tell you what. I
It is a
enjoy
great
it.
experience. Amazing.
Thank you, friends. We're gonna hand it over to Zav. We'll see you probably in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks at the latest for another episode of Bevs with Ben.
Have a good one, guys. Peace.
Big chat. Peace out. Bye bye.